all the concerns we have around safety, whether it's harmful content or hallucination or any of these, you just need to, by design, like, I mean, all software engineering has to shift left. You have to sort of think about the model itself being safe. Then you have to, on top of it, have a safety system that is built. And so you have to really take this as a first-class engineering concern and build. And this is not new to just AI. It's true in any other category of software today as well. I grew up with sort of the PC revolution starting in the late 80s. And it was just an empowering moment, right? I mean, even if you think about my own story, I mean, the way I was able to sort of have this technology reach me where I was growing up and be able to sort of get into it, and then, and the rest is, history. So therefore, I look at it and say it doesn't matter if you are a knowledge worker or a frontline worker, use these tools to actually then get more leverage in your job. If Andrej as a software developer in AI can do that, why can't all of us have access to it? If that farmer in rural India can use this technology to get their job done, that's the way. I think the best way to prepare for it is to sort of not bet against this technology and this technology helping you in your job, in your business process. And especially at a time like this, Matt, like here we are, right? We have inflation, we have all of this macroeconomic headwinds. Doing more with less is perhaps more at a premium. And so if I find any technology that allows us to be more productive, let's take that. And then let's create that economic surplus and then talk about how to distribute it in all the ways. And there are many, many mechanisms one can talk about. The point is, if there's more automation and take even what's happening with tech jobs today. Interestingly enough, if you look at it, there was, as tech supply in what is considered the tech industry is now sort of basically getting more distributed because every auto company, every pharma company, every retail company needs to hire tech people. So to some degree, we should not think of automation in one company to mean that that person is not required elsewhere. And so the question is, what is the overall capacity for the economy and society to absorb and create new jobs? And that, I think, is going to be the real. And then the other thing that we should also have is wage support for different jobs. I've always felt like, why is there such disparity today in the labor market between, let's say, some care worker and let's call it sort of a software developer? And it's because we think of we as a society have decided to give it different, I'd say, premium. Those premiums will adjust as some of these technologies really truly get diffused. The idea that every country has to have social cohesion based on the jobs and the economic opportunity, I think, is much better understood today than, let's call it, the first phase of globalization. Whatever happens in the sort of this phase of globalization is not going to repeat the mistakes of the previous era, where when there is displacement happening in a society, I think everybody's going to focus on what do we do about those people who are getting displaced, getting trained, getting new jobs. So I think now we have to, in some sense, to your point, really account for both forces. A globalization force, David Ricardo was not wrong. There is going to be comparative advantage of nations, and things will still exist where there is a reason why people will want to globalize. But at the same time, every politician gets elected because of local politics, and they're going to care a lot more about jobs locally. And so therefore, in fact, that's the right balance to have. It's hard because you have to adjust. The means of production, essentially, in our tech business changed dramatically, and that it requires us to unlearn and learn, which is always very unforgiving, quite frankly. And if you look at what even these large models or foundational models are, it's very different. In fact, I would say one of the things that is perhaps the toughest thing is the previous era AI expert is the one that is going to have the hardest time shifting to this new paradigm, because everything, all the assumptions, oh my God, here's my data, I'm going to train on that data, my data is the only thing that matters. All that's now questioned. You now have a large model which can be used as a retrieval engine on your data that's going to perform better than sort of something that you trained on on your data. I mean, just the intuition, just so that people have what this is suppose you train a model on, let's say, all the math formulas. Yeah, it'll get pretty efficient in math. But let's say you train a model on all the math formulas and all the human text there is on the web. It gets better at math. And you say, wow, how is that possible? Of course it's possible, because when we went to school, it's not like we just learned math. We learned history, we learned language. And so that emergent capability is a pretty different thing than like where we were even a couple of years ago as state of the art in terms of AI.
Do we need to learn math anymore? Why learn math?
Let me tell you, I'm an electrical engineer who never understood the Maxwell's equations. So now I finally get, thanks to ChatGPT, a better understanding of it. So I think one of the things is we will all enjoy a lot more math because we will have that personalized tutor who will in fact be able to intervene at the crucial time when you're making a conceptual mistake and help you learn. So just imagine that. What if there was a fantastic tutor teacher for every student learning math going forward? That is now possible.
Okay, I'm going to break my word because I wanted to ask you one more thing, which on this, then we'll move on, which is short term. I think we have a story that I think is coming today, just that in the short term, you guys are making more tools available through Microsoft with the AI. How will we see it affect Microsoft and our engagement with Microsoft in the near term? Just talk a little bit about what you're planning.
Yeah, I mean, look, at Microsoft, the one thing that I think is probably worth stating is this didn't just happen. That is ChatGPT and GPT family of models. This is something that we've been partnered with OpenAI deeply now for multiple years. And we built in Azure, our public cloud infrastructure, an AI supercomputer, which, by the way, as a systems architecture has been a massive breakthrough, because the way these workloads or the way you train large models is very different than anything out there. It's a much more large-scale, synchronous, distributed job. So we had to build the system from storage to compute to network that really allowed us to even build this capability. So at this point, the way Microsoft's going to really commercialize all of this is Azure has become the place for anybody and everybody who thinks about AI and large-scale training. And we're way ahead on that, and we continue to plan to sort of really step it up there. Second is we're going to make these foundational models available as platforms. So that means anybody who wants to build on them in any domain can build on top of that. Soon. In fact, today we just made the Azure OpenAI service available generally, and then even ChatGPT will be available as an API, and so we're very, very excited about that. And then we will incorporate this in our own application, so you can fully expect us to, obviously, every product of Microsoft